So now, what qualifies for this trauma or abnormalities? What qualifies?
Abnormalities are a result, I think. So
Okay.
we'll go to the cause called trauma. So physical trauma, we can see a injury. It mostly has a visible part to it. Sometimes injuries can also cause internal trauma, which is why they go through enormous tests and then figure out concussion is one kind of internal trauma, and it's not visible, and it's a serious condition to take care of. So you need to rectify that condition right away. Otherwise, it can become life-threatening internal concussions, right? So the physical trauma has both that external appearing impact or without an external appearance. The other type of trauma obviously doesn't have any visual clues at all. It's all internal, deeply hidden inside, right? It is, in my opinion, how does that person, what qualifies for it? How does a person deal with it? And what could be the impact due to that, right? Very few movies taken. I would take Joker as an example, and psychological thriller, that's what they called it. But it does, in my opinion, I watched that movie, it mainly talks about psychological issues, childhood traumas, when the parent itself is imagining of things, and the child will start even more imagination, right? So one kind of trauma that I'm aware of, and it can have a larger impact, is childhood trauma, because child doesn't know how to make those decisions, and some trauma imposed on that child. What kind of trauma can be imposed? There are obviously very horrible trauma like child abuse and all that stuff, so it's very clearly understood. Let's not talk about the impact of it. There will be some impact. A child being denied food or sleep or education, that's visible, right? That's clearly visible over there. Is that the only trauma that a child can go through? No, a child can go through other traumas also. A child which does not have any problems with food, shelter, and general protection, which is important. You need to protect a child, and the child should have a sense of it being protected. So if all those checkboxes are ticked, is that good enough? My opinion is there is more to it. Then what more to it? That is where parenting comes into the picture. Parenting is a specific job which adults have to do. Hopefully they are adult enough to go and do that job. And we are, as a human society, we are going through problems where the biological parents themselves are like part child and part adult, age-wise also. Those problems are there. Even if those problems are not there, what does parenting mean, and what are the ingredients to it, and what happens if there are gaps in that parenting, I think also is considered trauma. And it's not like I found that out. There's enough documentation. Well, nurturing, loving environment not being there, the child will read that as normal, and then will start behaving in that way. One way I can say that is there could be relationship issues, and that also has been covered in many movies, right? As to how that child will behave, because the child has to grow to be an adult and then engage in adult kind of relationship, be it friends or finding a partner and all that stuff. If that adult is struggling with that, and is there some kind of parenting emotional trauma that that child is suffering, very difficult to diagnose. But that's where some close therapist has to come and then work with that person and understand, and then try to go and cure it.
It is a huge question mark.
It's a huge question mark. Can it be cured by questions? Can it be cured by medicine? That's a huge question mark.
Yes, true.
If you're a pharmaceutical company making those medicines, great for you. But besides that, the evidence that I have seen doesn't point that direction.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, either by this show or generally, understanding those traumas exist, just meeting basic material conditions is not enough for a child to grow, and then figuring out ways to go on, fix it. It's very important. As a society, we do see the impact of it. It will impact a person's ability to do a job. it will impact their general happiness. Over a period of time in their life, it can progress and it can show up at the wrong age for them. For example, a person as adult can be normal for 20 years and then something else will show up.
I think more than just the person who was suffering, I think the people who are around them is also responsible.
Yeah, responsible and will suffer as well.
Yes. And I think being negligent about the people who are suffering is something really huge, I think.
I agree with you. I think it is huge, which is where probably there is a cultural component to it. I would recommend people to read a very small book written by, I think, Shaheen Bhatt is the name. I think it's Alia Bhatt's sister. She suffered chronic depression from a young age, and she narrates her experience with it. To bring some perspective into it, she will find difficult to wake up from the bed and even go and brush the teeth. Okay, and that can be easily parked under laziness. And then it took her parents, who are well-to-do and have access, but the understanding from the society itself was not there. The medical understanding was not there. It took them some time to figure out it is a medical condition rather than someone being lazy, right? And she has documented very well, in my opinion. It's a very short book, very easy to read, and people can take some cues from that, and then if they see someone like that, okay, at least I identify something over there, right? And how to go and fix it. You go and define a normal society in a very regulated fashion, very rigid fashion, like how we live in this country. Those kind of diagnosis is not possible at all, because those models work like you should fit within these two rails, and if you're away from it, sorry, next time, next life, maybe you will get fixed. And there are a lot of cases like that, in my opinion.
Also, what do you say? Like, most of these issues are, compared as to their character. It turns like his character is like that, instead of acknowledging of what is actually happening behind the screen.
You just summarized in a nice way what I just said. Yes, what I said by that very regulated environment becomes a character issue. It becomes a character issue to go and say, hey, we have laid down our rules framework very, very clearly, which is more of don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, don't do this, where what you're supposed to do is completely missing. No risk taking, appetite, nothing, right? So, hey, you don't fit into that model, you're of character. But people have to understand it is a multi-generational issue also. What starts off in generation 1 as a small issue with someone, and that person being a parent can transfer genetic material, will show up in generation 4, and you need to have some understanding of it to go and say, maybe the starting point is somewhere else. Okay, yes. So which is where we as a culture again don't tend to understand the long-term nature of things. We look at everything as transactional today kind of model, and there's no long-term impact model over there. So sitting here in 2026, we are screwing up things for someone who's going to be born in 2055 probably, is something we need to understand.
It's true. So, what is your goal? Like, you've written Einstein at Tea Karai.
Yeah.
And after that, we did a show on Women's Day. And after we did another show, so about 96 movie. So all these things are related to somewhere to this topic?
This is also related. For example, the first one I did, absolutism, and that's what I mean by this highly regulated environment, right? I have all these rules of what you should not do. Every human being will get confused as to what they should be doing. They don't have a book for that. They have a book only for what they should not do. And that's the absolutism model. And that definitely will result in all these issues we have. If you go back to our favorite movie of 96, I did wonder right after I saw the movie, does Ram have any issues like that? Which is why he is showing two different natures in his life. One, just a regular boy, getting along with his friends and then going and doing everything. On the other side, if he did not identify someone, that's okay. That's probably normal in the Indian context. Identifying someone and then having a huge fear to go and express it, and then just being in the background, but it's still important and not going and marrying anyone. Is there an issue? What happened in Ram's life before for him to go and make random decisions like that? Who otherwise seems to be very intelligent, an intelligent person making illogical decisions in some things in life which are very, very important for him. And the interesting point is very important for someone also. So he screwed up for himself and someone else as well, right? And the third one, the last one we did, and which is where the antidote I'm coming up with is the feminine energy. If you embrace it, these things won't be there. The lack of that embracement, which is moving away from this rules-based model. Okay. If you don't do that, I have a feeling that these issues in our society will increase. The cases are high in the Western society. They probably have to go and investigate their reasons. We probably should investigate our reasons.
Okay, so which means neglecting the nuances can.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I think that's a dangerous world to go and live in. This whole idea called I live a simple, humble life. My point is, who told you to do that? You just came up with that idea by yourself, right? And you think every nuance is just some uppity type, and you ignore that, right? And what are you living for? If you are living for afterlife, there's a solution available now. Just go now into the afterlife before you commit more sins and then get dinged over there. And you can go now. So this non-nuanced model is a GDP impacting, mental health impacting model, in my opinion. If like someone told me that, yeah, you are very nuanced, everyone will have the 20% of you in them, which I agree, yes, minimum 20%, if not more. If you don't give expression to that and suppress it, what is the impact on that person, and how are they going and impacting others? And Ram and Janu are a great example of Ram doing stupid things, not just affecting himself, he's impacting someone else. And the sad part of it, he's adversely, negatively impacting someone who he cares about so much.
Okay. So does that mean Janu is a normal person?
I think so. She is very chivalrous when it needs to be. Otherwise, she doesn't. Like the question you asked, is she going for happiness? Yeah, she's going for absolute happiness. She has a definition for it. She knows a path for it. Again, the path was blocked by someone else. That's a different story, right? But she enjoys her life, and that entire movie is about Janu just throwing away the usual rule book and then say, I don't care, the rule book didn't do anything for me, why should I care about the rule book? Which is another thing. If the rules are there to help us to live better, we don't live for the rules. We are not supposed to live for the rules. The rules are not sacrosanct. Our life is sacrosanct, and the rules are that help. The rules are not helping, just go and change it. In some cases, just do whatever you want to do. And sometimes when I watch songs in Tamil songs in YouTube, the subtitle gets turned on, and it's just hilarious and funny. I was watching one recently, the song from that Ravan movie, Manithanam movie.
Usire pogude.
Usire pogude. So the song says, Usire pogude, vodata nee konjam sirikala. And the subtitle says, I die bit by bit when you pout your lips or something. And the funny part is the entire song is like that. So all the translations are out of whack. Gazing at the sun, the lotus became a flower. Dude, that's not what they're singing out there, right? Our Indian lifestyle, for me, looks like that subtitle, not like the movie.
Okay.
There is something called reality and nature. We just come up with all kinds of nasty rules to go and live, and we just go and live for those rules. And if there's already enough probably mental health issues because of that model, and more Rams being produced and Janus not able to find anyone, it does have an impact. And the case I would make is, how come our people can go to the Western world and then do wonders over there, but nothing happens over here? We can't even organize traffic in a better way. Why is that? I mean, what my all-time I'll repeat this example. All we are doing in driving, whatever vehicle you are driving in the road, is to push everyone else aside and then make a way for yourself, right? If I'm driving a car, which I do, and then if bikes are swirling around me like a cesspool on both sides, people have to understand it's impossible to drive a four-wheeler in that model, no matter how big or small that four-wheeler is. You need a 360-degree camera, and all you can do is watch the 360, not drive, right? So that is what our roads are about, and we come and say that we are a very deeply caring society. No, dude, you're just displaying in public that you don't care about anyone else on earth. All you care about is only you, and you push aside everyone and then go, which is why we can't stand in lines, right?
Yes.
There are, in Singapore airport, I've seen there are 2 boarding points which had a semicircular line, and everything else, every other boarding line was straight. And there were 2 semicircle boarding lines, and one was a flight going to India and one was going to Bangladesh. Right. So you see the dysfunction over there, whereas we all aspire to migrate to the Western world if given a chance. And how come they like all the nuances and they celebrate all those nuances? For a materialistic well-being, you need to have nuances, is my case.
That is absolutely true. Okay.
That's probably the only absolute available.
Yes.
Nuances.
So now, how do we identify, or how do we control all these, mental health
in my opinion, it's going to be very difficult and hard to go and identify, leave alone controlling it. Like I said, the first level fix has to be that what is the normal human being supposed to do? Okay. The normal human being in the Western world is supposed to be fun-loving and then going and doing other things, which is what I explained to you, that when I went to America, if you ask people what can you do, they come up with a long list of, you can do this, you can do that, you can go there, you can come here, you can jump up and down, go to a party, and all that stuff. And then I connected to India, and then people will say, both in your friends and family circle, don't do this, don't do that, that will be risky, don't do this. It's like basically eat and sleep, right? So there are consequences to both the models. The model where it is more fun-loving and free understands the consequences and goes and controls it and then adjusts it. This model doesn't seem to understand anything at all and just keeps repeating what it has been doing for probably thousands of years and then saying, it's supposed to be Einstein quote, but Einstein didn't put it that way, my dear friend Einstein. You can't expect a different result by doing the same thing again and again. Okay, and that's what we as a society are doing, just doing the same things, claiming that we have been doing this for thousands of years, doing the same prayers for thousands of years. Doesn't work. So, going back to your question, we got to redefine what a normal human being does. A normal male is supposed to go after a female and then find a relationship and then make a relationship. What happens after that breakages, we will deal with it. But this is normal, but that's not our normal here. So we are left with, like you said, I think everyone has a mental health issue. If you believe in fake and random things like that, then are you mentally healthy? Probably not.
That is something to ponder upon.
I seriously, I want people to ponder a life model where you are more outgoing, you have your own interests, and you go and pursue. And there are a lot of different interests available in the modern world, and that's the beauty of the modern world. And you go and pursue. Not everybody will be jumping up and down. That is okay, but that's their preference. That's their preference to say, this is what I want to do. I'll go and do that. I want to be a quieter person, spending time in library. That is okay. That is okay because that's my preference. I see books as the window to the world, and I want to go into that model. That is okay. As long as it is not a choice they are making to avoid people. Right, and that's where it probably becomes tricky how to come to that conclusion. It's difficult, but that's the fun of life. That's what life is. Life is not a predetermined path that you are supposed to walk, and that's not how our quantum physics doesn't operate in that way. It operates both as a wave and a particle together, and we're all made out of it. How come we have all these rules that we are supposed to follow?
So, which means man-made rules are constraining man-made ideas, is it?
Man-made rules are constraining ideas. Man cannot make ideas. Ideas are there, he just picks it up. And like I told you before, man-made rules, very dangerous. It's not woman-made rules.
Okay.
If at all there is a God, he has to be a male because no one can screw up this battle.
That explains.
that explains, right? So these are man-made rules, and not all men are like that. But these man-made rules seems to be a hindrance. And if you look at the European society in the last 300, 400 years, I'll make a case that they moved away from that model. These man-made rules, I'm sure people don't like me saying it. One part of that man-made rules is the religious part of it. And that was also toned down in Europe. That was also significantly toned down in Europe. That is where got them going. And the kind of innovation that they have done in the last 200, 300 years, what we see is scientific things like this. Okay, yes, they did very well, but they didn't invent only scientific things. That's not the only thing. They went about inventing in arts and culture, painting, everything, right? We see and we enjoy because we are so materialistic. We see only, I mean, how many people use a mic? Not many, right? So we don't have use for mic either, right? We like WhatsApp because it gives you a lot of forwards and you can go listen to random stuff. But they became very innovative, and they innovated in the entire human experience part, right? And we can see in the same time we are kind of lagging behind. There is a natural human life. Just go and live it. If you come up with this random rules model, it is destructive. Yeah. The so-called humble model is self-destruction and very corrosive. It kills a natural human being.
Also, when you said like it is true, right? Life is about living, but it has changed to life is it's about surviving.
If survival is a problem, then the living becomes a survival. You cannot deny that. And when you're living in caves, life is about survival mostly. But even then, there are 40, 50,000 year old cave paintings over there. They just drew what they observed in the real world, just the animals, right? So that curiosity is always there in human beings. If it is purely about survival, then the curiosity has to be toned down, even though some individuals will still exhibit, and it keeps going. Our ability to do art and other things comes from that model, right? But when all the modern innovations are available, and then you go and stifle innovation, you are just basically surviving because no one told you to go and do that. You just figured out by yourself that I want to only survive. My option is you can go and book yourself into an ICU. There is oxygen available for you, and there's, you don't even have to eat. They give you fluids with all the energy. You just book yourself in ICU, just stay there. And even if you have a heart attack, the ICU will take care of it, and then eventually you leave, right? So that's the kind of model I think we live. I'm sure people hate me saying that, but we seem to be living in an ICU because we figured out that we will fall ill one day and then go away. Might as well live in the ICU.
So now, is it possible for you to tell us what is your next plan? Like, you've given us something new each month. So what is is it possible to, give out the suspense?
I don't know. So so these four, I did the connection, and I had an idea of how these four are connected. I will have to come up with material going forward, but I'm driving definitely towards an agenda also. There is no doubt about that. Agenda will not disappear, and that is the first one that I did, right? These desire to have rules and be fearful of rules, and that's the only thing. And again paraphrasing apparently something that my dear friend Einstein said. He said like, I don't know about stupidity, but genius definitely has its own limits. So we are exploring the limits of stupidity probably, right? And sometimes you probably have to take that single message and paint it in different colors and keep saying that again and again. Well, that's probably what I will do. I think anything I do will keep coming back. And I observe the society, and then I see, I've lived in many places also, like what's the difference and like what is wrong here. I do see the cultural model that we have has some brighter points, definitely, no doubt about that, but has a lot more dangerous ideas that we come up with, and how to move people away from that model. And going back to the topic that we are discussing today, the hidden traumas are something that we are not even aware of, and people just try to carry that forward with them for a longer time frame. That has multi-generational impact, and that's not what we want. We can't fix the past, but we can definitely make an attempt to make the future a better, and that's where I'm going towards. I'm not an elected representative. I don't have to be one. I don't have to be a psychiatrist for sure. I can still fix it.
Just these important perspectives are really important for our society.
Yes.
Yes.
Nuance is very important.
Really, really very important.
Very, very important.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.